Hi everyone, Amber here with Yoga How To. Also here with me are Ladybug and Violet. And today we'll be doing part 2 of Yoga for the Distracted Mind, whether that is from ADHD, perimenopause, menopause, or just life. So stick with me because today we'll talk about general ideas as far as what we actually want to be doing in meditation versus what it's not. So many of us go into it with such a different idea of what it is, and that gets us tripped up. So we'll talk about that, and then we'll get into, at the end of the video, a few techniques that you can try out specifically if you are someone dealing with strong distraction. Just a couple days ago, my friend, who also like me has ADHD, and he was kind of amazed that I meditate. And when I got talking to him, I realized he has the same misconception about what meditation entails as do many people. And it's one that's really harmful, especially for those of us who have a hard time with concentration and have been challenged by it in our lives, because it just feels insurmountable. And that's the idea that we are supposed to just keep our minds empty during meditation. Instead, and I'm only speaking to yoga meditation, I'm not familiar with other traditions except for very on the edges of them, but at least in yoga meditation, we have what's called an alambana. Alambana is a prop. It's something that holds up the mind. It supports the mind during meditation. Well, what does this mean? This just means we have an object. We have a thing that we focus on. So actually, as we're developing meditation, it's the total opposite of what we often think it is, which is not focusing on anything. Instead, we're saying, here's this one thing, and I'm going to focus all my attention on it. And of course, that's very hard too. So had to close the blinds. Ladybug had a lot to say to the neighbors. And I'm sorry, my lighting's not great today, but I just want to get this one done. Early on in our meditation journey, it's actually not meditation that we're developing, it's concentration, which will become meditation. And then we'll slip back and forth between the two. So we have an object we're meditating on, and let's just say it's a lotus in the heart area. Our focus will be on it for maybe a split second, and then our mind starts thinking about the grocery list, and then we bring it back. And then our mind starts, and sometimes we really think we're concentrating, and we realize, oh, for 5 minutes, I've been thinking about this conversation I had 5 years ago with someone. And then we bring it back. Each time we bring it back, we are moving away from a vikishta, a distracted mind, and becoming more established in ekaggata, one-pointedness. So we're moving from distraction to focus. This kind of concentration is called dharana, and it is what will become meditation. How does this happen? Well, if you imagine, each time you focus, each time you go from thinking about the grocery store, something someone said to you yesterday morning in the hallway, and coming back to that point of focus, maybe the lotus in the heart. Each time you do that, imagine it like a drop of water, a drip of concentration, right? Like a drippy faucet. What we're trying to do is get that faucet to drip faster and faster, so that the space between those drips of concentration becomes less and less, so that instead of the mind going halfway around the world before we reel it back in, it maybe only goes a few cities away. And eventually, maybe it just goes down the block. And maybe eventually it just goes out the front door. And we get better and better. Our muscle, our ability to concentrate gets better and better as we bring it back again and again and again. When this happens, those drips start to form a stream. Yeah? There's no gaps anymore. And at this point, we have meditation. There's still an awareness of cognition of happening, but our focus in this cognition, it is completely on that object. We are just focused on the heart lotus. We're no longer pulled away by sensations, thoughts, feelings, memories, all of these things. This is when it becomes meditation, and then we slip out again. And then we come back, especially at first, those drips can feel very far and few between. It can be discouraging. I'm telling you this, it can be hard, but you will get better at it. And that's why in the last video, if you didn't catch it, go back and watch it. It's part 1. I suggested start with smaller time limits. It's kind of like lifting weights. You wouldn't go in and bench press some crazy number. You would build up to it. And it's the same way with concentration. It's important to choose something that is sattvic, meaning that it has a harmonious or a peaceful or a sacred quality. Because eventually when we get deep enough in meditation, it will actually, our mind itself will be colored by the object. So we want to be careful how we're influencing our mind with that object, what objects we are taking on the colorings of. Some of the objects given, like external objects, might be a flame, image of moon or sun. We might use a lotus or even the chakras, the chakra system, right? And you could use the yantras with them, which are the geometrical representations of them. It could be an image of a deity. It could be any image or symbol from your religious or spiritual tradition. It could also be from your tradition a mantra or a prayer. And this is just a short list. There's all kinds of things you could use. All right, let's talk about the first technique I want to share with you that I think is especially good for someone who is distracted, maybe with ADHD, any of these things, is Trataka. And in this one, we actually do a lot of it with an open-eyed meditation. We pick a symbol or something outside of us like a flame. So it could be a spiritual symbol, it could be a flame, it could be a yantra. Go online, find the heart chakra yantra and print it out. Basically, you look at the thing until you have to blink. Now, some people would say blink and then continue to look at it. In other practices, you would then, once you have to blink, you close your eyes and you will see the reverse image inside your eyelids. And you hold your concentration on that. And you'll notice your eyes moving around and you have to bring them back to it again and again. So this teaches us too about drishti, which is where the eyes go, the mind goes. So it's important too where our eyes are at in meditation. So this will teach us to keep our eyes still and pointed at just that object in our minds until it dissolves. And then we open it and we begin the process again. With something like a yantra, you would start, for instance, with the heart chakra, and you might start with your focus more on the outer petals, and then you work your way in until you get to the symbol at the center, and then you can work your way back out. What I like about doing this for someone who is having a hard time sitting down to meditate in the first place is, even though you're still really developing that skill of ekagrata, of one-pointedness, or concentration, there's something about telling our minds, yeah, but you only have to do this little bit for a little bit of time, and then you get to do this next thing, and then this next thing. It makes it easier to sit down and do for a lot of us. So that might be something that you want to consider, is Trataka. Another technique you can use is, instead of focusing on something visual, focus on something auditory. So internally or externally speaking out loud a mantra or a prayer. There are, again, lots of ways to do this. It's something that in japa mantra, where we just repeat it, it means like a mumbling mantra. We just repeat it over and over and over internally, or even mumbling it out loud, and we might count it on 108 prayer beads. This is a way to just keep the mind focused, and using the beads can also, that tactile thing can be like, you can almost tell yourself, just keep your mind totally focused for this one bead. Okay, now the next one, now the next one. And just bringing it back again and again, it gives us another thing to hold on to, another prop for the mind. Eknath Ishwaran gives a meditation where you do one word of either the prayer or the sacred text that you've memorized or the mantra. You do it, it's like, he says, dropping a pearl in water. So one at a time in your mind, you just say each word and you just let it drop through your mind. And you do that until your mind wanders off. Then you go back to the beginning. And that's his method. So there's lots of ways to do it, but this can be a nice way too to bring in your own religion or spiritual background. In Gregor Mallet's book, I believe it's called Yoga Meditation. It's the one on yoga meditation. He talks about how important it is to bind our senses. And I won't go into it a lot here, but it might be useful to you if you try one of these two techniques and you're still getting distracted, to try bringing in more for the mind to do, to keep it busy and to just concentrate on. So what I mean by this, and this isn't the specific technique he gets, though I would recommend getting the book and reading it if you're interested, highly recommend it. You might work with the chakras, an internal image of the chakras, or if you've memorized what the yantra for each one looks like, you could do that. But just imaging in your mind a lotus, trying to hold that image at the, if we want to do the root chakra, and saying its bija, its seed sound, over and over, and then moving up through them. So these are pretty easy to find online. That's a really simple, straightforward meditation. It's going to harness more of that, of your sensory input, so that it's focused on that rather than on other things coming in through the senses. Now, I do want to mention, when I say the word visualize, that can be a big hang up for people because not everyone visualizes, and it can be a very hard thing to do. So if I'm saying to you, visualize your root chakra, you can also just hold your attention in the physical area at the perineum or the base of the spine where the root chakra is, while repeating lum, 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 maybe a lum on the inhale, lum on the exhale, the bija sound. And then you can do that for the next chakra and moving all the way up. You've got to overcome obstacles to sit down and actually do it. As I mentioned before, if you know it'll be broken up into smaller bits and pieces, it might be easier to sit down and do it than to just be like, oh my God, I'm doing the same thing for 5 minutes or 10 minutes. That's just sounds horrible to the distracted mind. It's a very hard thing to do. We have to trick it. We have to know what we're working with. So another thing you can do is start with some kind of breath work and use that as your focus of concentration. Do that for a couple of minutes, maybe get Insight Timer set up some bells so that if you're doing a 6-minute meditation, you know after 2 minutes, you're going to stop the breath work and move into maybe a heart meditation. And then maybe you want to do your mantra meditation. Now, do we want to do it this way forever? Well, actually, you would split it up and do more pranayama, more of the breath work, and more of the meditation work. If you are teaching your mind concentration, it's okay, especially early on, to consider your breath work a piece of that. Again, it's all about doing what you have to do to sit down and make it happen. 2 more quick things I want to suggest. Guided meditation can be a wonderful thing for people who have a hard time with concentration. Eventually, it's good to get ourselves off of that prop, but it's wonderful, and it's a way you can actually expand the length of your meditation and get into these longer, deeper meditations. The other suggestion I'm going to make is probably not going to be a popular one traditionally, because I'm going to say switch it up when you need to. In yoga, there's an idea that you want to, if you're looking for water, you don't start digging a hole here, then dig a hole here, then dig a hole here. You have to dig deep in the same place to get to the water. And certainly that's true. We want to use the same method eventually. But if doing that is such an obstacle to the mind that we never sit down and do it, and we never develop the practice, the habit, the muscle of concentration in the first place, then what good is that advice? Instead, if you can get yourself to sit down and concentrate for 5 minutes today because you have read about a new meditation that you're excited about, then do it. Know that this isn't the thing to do forever, but at first, do what you've got to do it. Okay, everyone, I hope that helps you. These are some of the things that helped me along the way. Again, as someone with ADHD who has developed a long-term and a regular yoga practice that includes meditation daily, it was a struggle for me. I hope some of these things will help you if it is a struggle for you. It's also, I want to tell you, just one of the things that has benefited me more than anything in my life. So I really hope you can find a way to do it. If you have questions, comments, or if there's things that have helped you to overcome your distracted mind, your bored mind, your whatever mind it is, will you please comment below? If you would also like and subscribe, we would all be so grateful here at Yoga How To, including Ladybug and Violet, who ditched us as soon as the blinds were closed. Again, apologies for the funky lighting, but I just had to get it done. It was kind of like I'm telling you with meditation. Sometimes you just have to be imperfect. All right, everyone. Thanks so much. Have a great day.